So we got our pallet thing holding that up for right now. And this, just got that bolt out. Take this engine off is what we're gonna try doing. And this pulley should come off, I think, because this screws off here. We'll figure that out now. Okay, so we've gotten that off from up there, right there. So we got the engine pulled out of there. It's right here. You can see it's all dirty. You're gonna have to clean this whole thing up, clean the bottom of that off. So, yeah. But getting everything cleaned up and working on that more. So we got all this taken apart. We got all the parts in there. All those parts, or all those bolts go to the frame, or like to hold everything together. Got this off. We're gonna clean this up a little bit. Clean everything up in there. Try to take some of that rust off. Then we gotta take your rear end off. And we have to take the rear end off. Try to figure out how we're gonna switch the rear end to go on top. So we've gotten the rear end off. We got that off. It came off with the axle, so we're gonna tear the rear end apart and figure that out. Now we tried this, we tried heating it up, hitting it with a hammer and putting stuff in there to get it to come out. That hasn't worked, so we're on to air hammer now. So that axle, or that's not coming off the axle very nicely, so we got this all taken apart. Got that up there. We're gonna try taking the throttle off there and figuring out what we're doing with the throttle. So we're gonna try getting this, all the wiring taken off, and take it out and clean it up like we did with this front part right here. We took that off, got that all cleaned up too. So yeah, it's coming along really nice. So now we're just cleaning it up, some down dish soap, and we're just washing it down, getting all the everything off of it, anything that's on there, oil, dirt, anything that's on there. We're gonna clean all that off. Then we're gonna figure out how we got the rear end. We still need to get that wheel off the rear end, but then we're gonna figure out how we gotta flip and rotate the rear end to put on top. So we got this back in. We got the tire finally taken off this, and we have it apart because we had to take the axle out. We had to take that axle off, and then we had to hydraulic press it the opposite way, and that kind of worked and shaved it off enough to get it out because like the end was bigger on the one side for some reason. But so now we're gonna start taking this apart, take this off. We just have a couple bolts holding it on. You can tell it does need clean a little bit. It's a little dirty, so we're gonna clean it in a parts washer and get everything cleaned up off of it. So yeah, get everything, re-grease everything, make everything look nice and brand new. So we put most of the bearing or the gears in some parts cleaner, and the only thing that we really have left to clean is this and those two, but we'll do those another time because we gotta let that sit overnight because like there's a bunch of stuff just baked on there. And so trying to figure out why this shaft over here for the other wheel wasn't staying on. Well, here's the thing that holds it together. It's supposed to hold it on. It's supposed to look like on there like that. Yeah, well, that's what it is. So yeah, let's let that soak overnight. And so we got those all cleaned up. A lot better than they looked. There's a couple in there we still need to clean up. Then we're gonna throw this in, let that soak and get cleaned up. Then we have to do those two. So we got that one out of there. We just cleaned that one up right there. It used to look like that. So you can tell those are really cleaned. After we get that one cleaned there, and then the springs are in there for right here, cleaning up because I did lose them. I had to use a magnet to find them. So we're gonna clean those up, put them back in there, and then after we do all that, after we clean that one up, we can get the grease for it and put it all back together. And I did just think about it for a little bit. I think I'm gonna clean that side up a little bit too. And this side, I already cleaned this side, but I'm gonna clean the other side too. So we've gotten those all cleaned up, those cases. And we have to get a new one of those to put on here. Like that side, or put on the other side actually. We need to put washers on here. 2 washers there. Or shims actually, but we have those that we need to put in. Otherwise, we need to get that grease put on after we weld the diff and put that piece back on. After we get that piece on, we can weld it and all that fun stuff. Then we can start putting everything back in and put that grease, oil grease on, and then we are good to go. We got to get pulleys, and we can start working on that. I think I am going to start working on figuring out how I want my front end to be, like the steering and everything. So this is kind of how I'm thinking I want it to be. That length right there, that far out, and I want that to be there, but we got to get the rear end and pulley and to figure out how we're cutting that, and we got to get the grease put in over there, and we have to get those parts. Otherwise we really can't do much, because we have to get that put on before we can do this, to figure out the height of the back and the front to match more. Then have to get that rear end on. We have to figure out how we're doing the bottom stuff. So it's just a whole thing right now. Definitely need to do the back first. Then after we do the back, we can do the front, and then we can start making everything go back together. But it's taking a little longer just because we're having troubles here with this part we need to get, and then we need to weld that, and that means we have to get a welder out. So we just have to weld that, and hopefully when we have that, we can weld the go-karts too, because that needs done. From the one video that I made where the go-kart broke, we still haven't welded that together yet, but hopefully we can get this done and getting it running soon. Couple more weeks. Hopefully we can get that done by this week. Hopefully the rear end done and get pulleys for it. Yeah, so we couldn't find exactly this for there, so we just bought C-clips. Whatever, right? They fit, right? So I know some people are probably not gonna be that happy about it, but I don't really care, because whatever. But now we got that all done. Now I probably should weld that, but you have to weld like on the inside or something so it doesn't mess up, like mess with this stuff, on all this stuff in here. So yeah, we gotta figure that out and weld that. And we got some pulleys. We have to weld that in there, sadly. We have to weld that in there. But otherwise, we gotta... This one is the only one I could find. This one is for the rear end. You could put a smaller one in the rear end and a bigger one in the front now, instead of the reverse. It's a pulley swap. So we got our pulley. We just need to clean them up and get them ready to TIG weld. And yeah, then we got to get our rear end ready. We're gonna TIG all this together, get it all welded. So we got to heat it up with a small torch. We welded that around there. And now we're welding this up right there. Not the best welds, but you're welding all this up. If you deheat that, it's hardened, so it might pop, but it's sweating from all the heat, so it's getting all that old ooze out there. But yeah, so get this welded and we can start putting this back together finally. So we got that completely welded all the way around on both sides. That shouldn't be doing anything, because you got nothing there, or you got nothing that can give there, and then that, because that's TIG welded, so that shouldn't give. So we used one. We got to cut this one open. Got a new pair of gloves, because I don't want all this on my hands, but we're getting there, and slowly getting there. Then after we get all that on, we can put the other case on, shut it up, but just pack it full of grease. Just pack it full, just so you know there's plenty in there. So we got 2 of those in there, and now we are going to put this on. I did do a couple spots just because I had a little left over from it, but yeah, we're going to put that on there now. So we're going to cut these off where it used to be connected, where the rear end used to be connected. We're gonna cut both of those sides off with a cutting wheel, and let's do it. So we got the pulleys done, being painted. We got that done, painted, both pulleys. We got that done, put on there. Get these cut off. Now we just have to figure out how we're putting those on for the rear end, and how we're gonna do the front end. I think I'm gonna have to take like those belt holders off to hold, like that hold the belt, because that is gonna be in the way, like these are gonna be in the way on the ground. So we got all these painted up. We got both of those painted. We got those two painted there. So we got everything nice and painted up, finally. Oh yeah, and we got some new paint. We got some of the farm paint, so yeah. So we welded this on so it shouldn't move. Then I can take those bolts out right there if I need to. But we got this, and then we got it off so we can put the hood mounts finally back on whenever we finally do put them back on. And then got all this figured out down here. Then I just have that mounted up, and we'll figure that out later, like what I all need to actually cut off on the backside as I'm going. But yeah, we're coming along pretty nice. So we got those holes filled, and we spray paint over it just for right now, just so then it doesn't rust at all. Keep it that rusting. Then I'm gonna have to do these here. I'm gonna have to fill those in. Then take a welder, weld in there, then grind them all off like I did up here and there. And yeah, so we're gonna do that, and then we can start working on more. So we had to extend the axle, so we cut the head off a bolt, and we're gonna use that, and we're gonna TIG weld that onto our axle and get that. And we got the rear end tacked on. I'll show that too in a little bit. So I've gotten those holes drilled right there all the way through to hold the wheels on, the axle for the wheels technically, and then I got these tacked on right here. A couple tacks. They're a little bad, but they'll hold for right now. And making sure everything's how I want it. We got to put those bolts on that I cut off on every side, or on both sides, and then we can make the spacers for the wheels, and then we can do that. And yeah, it's coming along pretty nice. So yeah, it's looking pretty sick. Can't wait to see the thing running. So we've gotten these, have an angle to the top of them, and gotten them cleaned up so they're ready to weld. Now we got to take the rear end off there and put that all up. But we're gonna do that in the next video, I think. And next video I will show more of like putting it together, because I've been lazy on that. I just haven't got my stuff out here yet to do that. So we've gotten this put on, we got the rear end tacked on kind of how we want it, and now we're gonna get the wheel spacers and wheels spaced out, and we're probably gonna put get the rear end completely mounted how we want it next, and get the seat and start going from there. Start putting her back together. I think we're gonna start working on the steering next video right away after we do this. So thank you all for watching, and hope you enjoy this one, and can't wait to get this beast running and out on the roads. Should be maybe the next video or the video after that. Thank you all for watching. See you on the next one.